What if I told you that one of NASA's most famous space shuttles had a mission that inspired millions, but its final journey changed spaceflight forever? This is the story of Space Shuttle Challenger, a spacecraft that carried astronauts, made history, and became part of one of NASA's most unforgettable moments. Before we begin, welcome to Stella Science. If you love amazing stories about space, science, and the universe, like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And tell me in the comments, which country are you watching from? And what is your date of birth? Now, let's go back to 1983 and discover the incredible story of Space Shuttle Challenger. Challenger was one of NASA's most famous space shuttles, but behind its incredible missions was a story that would eventually change the future of human spaceflight forever. After Enterprise proved the shuttle could fly and Columbia became the first shuttle to reach space, Challenger became the next major chapter in NASA's journey. Challenger was originally built as a structural test article called STA-099 instead of simply being thrown away after testing. NASA decided to convert it into a fully operational space shuttle. It was redesignated OV-099 and named Challenger. The name Challenger came from HMS Challenger, a British research ship that carried out an important scientific expedition in the 19th century. The name was fitting because NASA's shuttle would also be used for exploration and scientific research. Challenger first launched into space on April 4, 1983, during the STS-6 mission, with astronauts Paul Weitz, Carol Bobko, Story Musgrave, and Donald Peterson aboard. Challenger officially began its remarkable career. The shuttle quickly became an important part of NASA's fleet. It carried astronauts into orbit, deployed satellites, performed scientific experiments, and helped NASA demonstrate new technologies. One of Challenger's most famous missions was STS-7 in 1983. During this mission, Sally Ride became the first American woman to travel into space, making Challenger part of a historic moment in human spaceflight. Challenger also carried astronauts from different backgrounds and helped demonstrate that space exploration was becoming more representative of society. Its missions inspired millions of people around the world. The shuttle's payload bay allowed NASA to transport large equipment and satellites into orbit. This made Challenger much more than a spacecraft for carrying astronauts. It was also a powerful scientific and technological platform. Challenger performed missions involving communications satellites, scientific experiments, and observations of Earth. Every mission helped NASA learn more about operating reusable spacecraft. The shuttle also helped scientists study how materials, organisms, and physical processes behaved in microgravity. These experiments provided information that could not easily be obtained on Earth. Challenger completed several successful missions, and confidence in the Space Shuttle program continued to grow. But behind the success, engineers were constantly dealing with enormous technical challenges. A space shuttle launch was an incredibly complicated event. The orbiter, external tank, and solid rocket boosters had to work together perfectly from the moment the engines started until the spacecraft reached orbit. The solid rocket boosters used segmented joints sealed by rubber O-rings. These components were designed to prevent hot gases from escaping from the booster joints. Temperature was an important factor in the performance of these seals. Engineers had concerns about how the O-rings would behave under different conditions, especially in unusually cold weather. Then came the mission that would change Challenger's story forever. STS-51L. The crew included Francis Scobie, Michael Smith, Ronald McNair, Allison Onizuka, Judith Resnick, Gregory Jarvis, and teacher Krista McAuliffe. Krista McAuliffe was selected through NASA's Teacher in Space project. She was planning to teach lessons from space, bringing the excitement of human spaceflight directly into classrooms across America. Millions of people were watching because Challenger's mission had captured enormous public attention. Students, teachers, families, and space enthusiasts were waiting to see the historic launch. But the launch date arrived during unusually cold weather at Kennedy Space Center. Ice had formed around parts of the launch structure, and concerns about the conditions had already become part of the discussion surrounding the launch. On the morning of January 28, 1986, Challenger lifted off from Launch Complex 39B. For the first moments, everything appeared normal. Then, just over a minute into the flight, a serious problem developed in one of the solid rocket booster joints. Hot gases escaped through the damaged seal and began affecting the surrounding structure. The situation rapidly became catastrophic. The external tank and orbiter were subjected to forces and conditions they could not survive. At approximately 73 seconds after liftoff, Challenger was lost. The tragedy shocked NASA, the United States, and people around the world. All 7 crew members were lost. Their names became permanently connected with one of the most painful moments in the history of human spaceflight. The disaster triggered an enormous investigation. NASA operations were examined, engineering decisions were questioned, and the communication of safety concerns became a major focus. The Rogers Commission investigated the accident and concluded that the failure involved the solid rocket booster joint and its O-ring seals. The investigation also highlighted deeper organizational and decision-making problems. NASA suspended Space Shuttle launches while engineers worked to understand what had happened and how to prevent another disaster. The shuttle program eventually returned to flight, but it was never exactly the same. NASA introduced major changes to the solid rocket boosters, launch procedures, safety processes, and organizational culture. Challenger's tragedy also changed how the world viewed human spaceflight. The Space Shuttle had seemed almost routine to many people, but the disaster showed that every launch still carried enormous risks. The legacy of Challenger is therefore not only about tragedy. It is also about the 7 people who dedicated their lives to exploration, science, education, and discovery. Today, Challenger remains an important part of Space Shuttle history. Its successful mission showed what NASA could accomplish, while its final mission revealed the consequences of ignoring serious engineering and safety concerns. From its first launch in 1983 to its final flight in 1986, Challenger became a symbol of both human achievement and the risks of exploration. Its story reminds us that space exploration is never easy, and that every lesson learned can help make future missions safer.